Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Construct Innovate webinar series on modern methods of construction. My name is Jamie Goggins, and I'm co-director of Construct Innovate, which is Ireland's National Research Centre for Construction Technology and Innovation. You're very welcome to this webinar series. This is week 7 of week 8 of the webinar series. This week, we're going to concentrate on offsite manufacturing. As I said, it's a 7-week of 8-week series, so you can watch the previous weeks back on the Construct Innovate YouTube channel, and this webinar will also be available on the Construct Innovate YouTube channel afterwards. We've got 3 very experienced and very good speakers today. We're delighted to have these 3 speakers. So our first speaker is Martin Murray, who's Head of Business Development at Procon Modular, and he's going to talk about Procon Modular and how they're leading 3D volumetric offsite manufacturing. Then we have Eoin Waldron, who's General Manager of Castle Modular, and he's going to talk about diversification manufacturing. So effectively, Castle Modular manufacture 3D volumetric offsite manufacturing within their factory for various different applications. So all the way from housing to data centers, pharmaceuticals, and so on in there. Then we have Jörg Lessing, who's a adjunct professor at Linköping, University at Stanford University also, and he's CEO and founder of Lessing Innovation in there. And he has a lot of experience over the years around industrialized construction, not just in Sweden, but also in other places around the world. And he's going to give us some examples from within Sweden. So we're going to have our 3 presentations, and then followed by the presentations, we'll have a Q&A session at the very end. If you have any questions for any of our 3 presenters, please do pose them in the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen, and we'll deal with all those questions at the very end of the presentations. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to our first presenter. First presenter being Martin Murray, Head of Business Development at Procon Modular, who's going to talk about 3D volumetric offsite manufacturing from Procon's perspective. So over to you, Martin.
Thanks very much, Jamie. See that okay?
It's just done that. Yeah, perfect.
Coming up okay?
Yeah, I can see one introduction at the moment.
Perfect. Thanks, Jamie, and Construct Innovate for the opportunity of presenting ourselves. Procon Modular, one of Ireland's leading specialists in the 3D volumetric modular construction, delivering high quality turnkey, both in the public and in the private sector nationwide. We have over a decade of experience in modern methods of constructions. We combine precision off-site fabrication with efficient on-site delivery. Our strengths are proven track record, delivering complex modular buildings in live operational environments. Integrated in-house teams covering design, engineering, manufacture, and construction. We have ISO for quality, environmental, health and safety, and in the BIM standards. Deep understanding of the building regulations and the public sector compliance in BCAR, TGDs, and the Department of Education frameworks. Why are we different? We're the only Irish contractor with a verified history of delivering modular projects of large scale within 9-month timeline itself, including full design, fabrication, installation, commissioning, and handover. No project, we believe, is too small or too bespoke, and no project has yet been too large for us to achieve. We pride ourselves on our adaptability and proven capacity to deliver at scale without compromising on quality, precision, or the client's focus. Next comment is slightly changed with Eoin receiving this morning. Up to now, we were the only Irish modular contractor who currently holds a BDA argument certification. This guarantees Procon Modular's building with a 60-year lifespan. Our approach is every project is delivered as a turnkey solution, reducing risk, accelerating program, ensuring full client viability from day one through to practical completion. What way do we do it, or what is our process? We offer full turnkey, as mentioned, is a structural approach to modular construction comprising of the following key stages. One, obviously starting with the design, the development of the modular layouts, architectural, structural and civil design, and coordination with the client's requirements and statutory regulations. There into manufacture or off-site fabrication of modular units in a controlled environment to pre-approved specifications. Site enabling and completion works, site preparation including foundations, services, connections and access arrangements. From there into installation, delivering and craning into position, followed by the structural service connections. Fit out, internal finishes including partitioning, flooring, ceilings and fixtures. From there we roll into completion, final inspections, snagging, testing and commissioning of all systems. Then the most important part from the client is BCAR O&M manuals, completion and submission to building control, amendment regulations, documentations, provision of operations and maintenance manuals. Each stage is executed in sequence and coordinated to ensure regulatory compliance. So we have the design process. Procon Modular delivers a full coordinated design and build solution with design development managed through a structured and compliance the processes following completion to certification. Design and development process. Obviously early engagement and brief definition. Client workshops to define spatial, operational and performance requirement. Feasibility analysis and modular optimization and value engineering. Identification of the statutory and infrastructure constraints. Feeding into our BIM, which is all projects are ISO 1960, which is obviously crucial going forward with all government projects. Federated modules, integrated architectural, structural and MMP disciplines. Clash detections and service coordination prior to manufacture. Control document management through the digital platforms with full audit trail. Special consultation integration. We engage qualified independent consultants for specialist compliant areas including architectural design, structural engineering, M&E engineering, fire safety certification, disability access, Part L and NZ. Each compliant provides the BCAR compliant design certifications and appropriate professional indemnity insurance. Obviously crucial for clients. Procon Modular produces 3D volumetric units at our purpose-built factory in Boris-on-Oswey, where we feature 6,500 square feet of factory space and 12,228 of external storage, with a capacity of over 900 modules per year. Our controlled environment, consistent, high quality output, high quality, unaffected by site or by weather constraints. Our modules, we endeavour to achieve 85 to 90% pre-manufactured value with structural framing, second fix M&E, plumbing, finishes completed off-site. This practical parallel delivery module reduces site activity, improves quality control and shortens the programme duration. Our key advantages: high PMV, up to 90% off-site, programme certainty, faster delivery, less disruption, controlled environment conditions, consistent quality, low risk, just-in-time logistics, over 12,000 square metres of storage, scalable output, largest 3D modular factory in Ireland at the moment, rapid handling, 3 overhead cranes, which streamlines all this movement. While all that's going on, we obviously have site enabling and completion works carrying on at the same time. So we look after 100% of turnkey design and build projects combining off-site manufacturing with coordinated on-site civil works to reduce overall project duration by 50%. This is achieved through a structural delivery model involving dedicated internal resources and experienced subcontractor teams. So there's off-site and on-site work streams that the civil works are undertaken in tandem with off-site modular manufacturing process. This parallel sequence shortens overall program duration. We have dedicated civil teams nationwide who are all pre-qualified subcontractors. These teams are aligned to the Procon project schedules and standards. In-house site oversight. Procon deploys dedicated site managers to oversee all site activity. These individuals coordinate the civil works, module installation, and post-installation works, ensuring consistent quality program adherence. And then the consultant engineering support, that we engage specialist consulting engineers across all required disciplines, including structural, M&E, fire safety, and DAC. These consultants ensure all works are executed in compliance with BCAR, MZ, Part L compliance, building regulations, local authority requirements, and utility standards. All site enabling and completion works are delivered under strict health and safety protocols and in accordance with our ISO certified quality management system. Obviously, from the installation, we have pre-installation readiness. As you can see there with the team, site inspection to verify access ground conditions and crane setup. Risk identification, early doors and mitigation measures implemented in advance. Model labeling and sequencing. Each model is pre-labeled for exact installation order, ensures accurate placement and reduces time on site. A line checked against design and structural tolerances. Control craning operations. Modules crane into position using contract lift plans. All lifting activities directed by certified appointed person. Our safety and traffic management plans ensure safe vehicle and personnel flow, site logistic crane access and exclusion zones clearly identified. All lifting and positioning operations adhere, most importantly, to HSE and CIF protocols. Completions. The completion phase includes the installation and commissioning of all internal systems and finishes. This covers M&E, plumbing connections, floor finishes, internal joinery, and final fit-out works. Each element is completed in a controlled sequence to maintain program flow and ensure compliance with design, specification, and regulations. Throughout this phase, a structural quality control process and phase, ongoing inspections, system checks, and trade-specific snag reviews are carried out to identify and address any defects prior to handover to obviously make better from snagging. This process snagging approach reduces rework and prevents backlog at end of project. Our final inspections are completed in line with BCAR, ensuring all documents are in place. The result is a streamlined handover process with Procon consistently achieving 95% snag-free delivery and at practical completion. Project handover and closeout with program delivery. Handover planning begins early to ensure program alignment. All works completed in line with master construction program. Our quality control and snagging starts at project inspection, not just the final phase. Trade specific inspections at every key stage, manufacture, installation, final fit out. Digital QA tool supports structure tracking and resolution. Proven track record of 95% plus snag-free practical completion. Consulting sign-off is design team and consultants approval, align with program milestones, avoids end stage delays, and accelerates BCAR. Closeout management and continuous improvement is design oversights, QM, quality control management system, and snagging tracked and dedicated software platforms, real-time issue tracking, reporting, and resulting logs. Continuous improvement, post-handover reviews identify lessons learned, installation and finish standard refined continuously, process technology, innovation, elevated at future integration. Then we have obviously BCAR, which is very detailed. In this particular instance, won't go through all this, but why do we collect, why it works, and what it means for the clients. Most important is that they're getting quality building that adheres to all building control, which is the most important part. Capacity, we obviously have the main factory, which is down in Ashbrook, down in County Laois, which is where our main facility is. 6,500 manufacturing floor space with 12,250 storage and set down area outside. Dedicated access roadway for transport and logistics, on-site offices, canteen and welfare facilities. Operational heights, the primary site for 3D volumetric production, equipped with our overhead cranes and advanced logistic setups. Central hub for large-scale projects nationwide. The offices are just at the back of the airport in Knoxadine, where the head office and administration centre is. Supports project management, coordination, storage, central coordination point for project and oversight of clients. We've recently moved into the UK and we have a facility in Knighton in Wales, which we recently had. Established Irish market leader, active UK manufacturing footprint, greater scale and delivery capacity, long-term growth strategy. So why Procon? The big thing, agreement certification, which is coming down with government very quickly now. Presently, we have the BDA agreement certification from Kiwa in the UK, which we received earlier in January 25. This conforms with all compliance with Irish building regulations, EN and UK for all our modular system. We're also finalising our agreement cert with Kiwa Netherlands, which we did receive earlier this year, and that confirms specifically with Irish and EU standards. To accelerate certification, Procon has followed a parallel track, starting with Kiwa UK and then Kiwa Netherlands to cover both European, Irish and European. But also in that process, we're still going down the road with the NSAI agreement certification, which we're getting very close to, and we've been intimated that we should have by the end of March, middle of April. All the paperwork is with NSAI at this stage, so we're nearly there. Obviously, we have 9001, 14,001, 4501 and 196050, which are all key categories now. And we're obviously with CAF, NISO, CAOB, newly formed SOSA and MMC Ireland. And that's us today. Thank you very much again for everybody who's viewing and again for the invite from Jamie and Construct Innovate.
Brilliant. Thanks, Martin. That's great run through Procon and seeing the size and capacity that you have there within it. So if anyone's any questions for Martin, please do post them in the Q&A function at the bottom of the screen, and we'll deal with all those questions at the end of all three speakers in there. So the next speaker we have is Eoin Waldron, who's General Manager of Castle Modular, and he's going to talk about Castle Modular and diversification in manufacturing. So over to you, Eoin.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Can you hear me okay there?
Yep.
Yeah, and thank you, Martin, for that. Very interesting and great to see you pushing on with the accreditation. So I'll just share first, as Martin intimated there, we've also had some good news in terms of accreditation, which is our, I'll just share it here. Can you see that there?
Gotcha.
Okay, so yeah, sorry, this is our Castle Group NSAI certificate, which is for a 30 meters high fully modular system for residential, commercial, healthcare, most applications. I won't run through the full document here, but that'll be published on the NSAI website today. So we're very excited about that. So also then to move on to the presentation proper then, just reshare on this. And you should see that now for the first page there showing our factory.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what I'll talk about now is just basically our diversified approach to our pipeline and how we kind of work together with our fit out division as well to supplement our skill set and to generate more pipeline, I suppose. So Castle Group is trading 27 years, run about 350 employees across the fit out business and the modular business. And that can ramp up and down between the two businesses depending on the workload in the factory. So at peak, we would have had 120 in the factory, and sometimes we may drop down to as low as 20 on the floor, just depending on our pipeline. So we have the three divisions, modular, fit out, and we also have a structural steel business that runs in parallel. So annual turnover of circa 70 million across the two businesses, the three businesses, sorry. So our markets in general, and I'll mainly focus on this today, Ireland and Europe. So it's resi, healthcare, hospitality, quite a lot in the life sciences sector, and more recently then pushing more into the data center sector in Europe. So the company started off as a seals and partitions company, and every pivot the business has taken has been as a result of either the market or clients' direct needs or requirements. So in 2016, as a result of constraints in the trades and labor market, we started the Castle Academy, which was training people up for interior building systems. That ran successfully until COVID, and we shut it down during COVID, and we're planning to reopen that again. So it basically gave people an NVQ certified qualification for interior building systems, and all ran in-house through Castle. Then we started working in data center projects 2018, and our modular business then started 2018 and moved into Europe then 2019, 2020. So with our fit out business, we very much take an offsite approach to our traditional work on site. So the pictures there you can see on the top left, the structural secondary steel is what we carry out. So we try to, I suppose, take on what traditionally would not have been part of the fit out scope, whereas we take the secondary steel on, we take the fire wrapping, and that enables us and gives us the advantage of coordinating all of that steel in the shared federated model at a very early stage on projects. So we have a very heavy focus in pre-construction on the more technical pharma and data center projects where we do take on that steel. We do all the early coordination of all the M&E services, and we then push through our steel design in that, make sure all the steel is coordinated, and then we start manufacturing and start building on site. But again, it's very much an off-site early stage approach to that fit out, which helps us on the modular side, but it also helps us on the fit out side of the business as well. So in the fit out side, we do full turnkey from the images that you saw a second ago, which was the raw early stuff on site, right through to the final finishes, loose furniture, carpets, floors, glazed partitions, etc. And some of our projects there, including IDA, head office fit out, that type of stuff. So over to the modular then. So this is some of the residential projects we did. This was one for the OPW. So these were fully modular homes. There's a terrace of 6 houses made up of 24 modules. Each one was 90 square meters. There were 3-bed terrace, A2 rated, and 4 modules per house. So they left the factory with a PMV of 90 to 95%. So the kitchens were installed, timber floors installed, all the render, brick slip, everything was complete prior to them leaving the factory. And as you can see, it looks like a traditional built home. So these were a fully light gauge structure that we used. We had no hot rolled steel in these, which made for a more accurate installation during the installation phase. In fact, it was a terrace, and all the finishes were pre-finished. So we find we can get a lot more tolerance accuracy with the pure light gauge assemblies. So of course we roll our own metal on site. All our 3D model is done in the factory, and that moves through to our Howick machine. We roll all our own metal, and then everything is built up from scratch. These are the general layouts. Here you can see some images from our factory. The top picture in the middle there, where all the modules laid out. Unlike some factories, we move the tradespeople rather than moving the product. Some factories you'll see have rails, but because our order book is so diversified, it doesn't work for us to have rails in the factory. So as you can see here, brick slip, render, everything finished in the factory. The bottom right is a trial assembly that we did in the factory prior to delivery. And the top right, then you can see where we have the kitchens installed, timber floors installed prior to delivery. The next project, again, was a pivot to an external facade system that we carried out, again, as a result of a request from a client on a tricky project they have had. Project is just nearing completion. So on it, we did the external facade system and plus the internal fit out, plus 150 ton of structural steel. So it's the old telephone exchange just off O'Connell Street in Dublin. So very constrained city centre site. The only, there was about 100 square meters of set down area on the project. So all of these panels that we can see here were manufactured in the factory. So glazing was installed, the LGS build up in the back, structural build up in the back, and then the brick slip, which is the kind of sandy color, and were all completed in the factory prior to delivery. So there was 9 stories in total. We used a Kingspan K-Rock panel, and then all of the various different finishes were installed at the factory prior to delivery. Then to finish it out then, and to cover all the joints with on panel to panel, we use this, again, Kingspan system, which was site applied. So it meant we didn't have big, massive laydown areas on the project, and we were able to access those just through cherry pickers and boom hoists, rather than having a full scaffold, which wasn't possible due to the access constraints. So as you can see, it turned out quite a nice finish, and we still have a minor number of guys left on site there. But again, it's that diversification on the portfolio where we've gone from residential to a hospitality project. This is a current live project we have in Athlone on a pharmaceutical factory, which is probably the more traditional approach to modular construction, quite similar in the structure and the layout to the schools projects and the schools framework that a lot of other companies are on. So very similar light gauge steel system with a hot roll corner post, cladding panels, and then the internal fit out. Again, we try and maximize the PMV similar to Procon, but it just depends on the layouts and how much of that we can do off-site. So again, single story option on that. The next is one that's growing. They're tricky little projects, which are guardhouses. We tend to do a lot of these for export, for pharmaceutical, and for data center clients. So the one on the top right is a 2-module project, which is going to a pharma factory in Dublin, and the other ones were for export to Eastern Europe. So these are, I'll just play this video here. These are quite very heavily serviced. They tend to run all the security for the facility, whether it's a data center or a pharma factory, through these. So they could have 150 separate comms cables coming into each one of these. So there's quite large communications panels. Some of them have ballistic rating. We have one in design currently, which has a PB6 or BR6 rating on the glazing. It has ballistic bullet panels on the in the walls as well also. So it's full rated to be able to take bullets at a direct shot or at a 45-degree angle. So again, quite complex, quite heavy when you add on all the Kevlar panels, you add on the extra 4 layers of glazing, etc., etc. So tricky little projects, but they are longer in design typically than they are in manufacture. So you're looking at probably 8 weeks in manufacture, and you're looking at 16 to 20 weeks probably in design, depending on how engaged the client's team are. So again, that's another few different examples of those guardhouses that we do. So they don't take up much space in the factory floor, but they are very heavy on prelims, as I said. So again, one clad in timber, one with a big cantilever canopy on it, and this one being a split 2-module one, which has a little IDF or comms room at the back of it. It is a storeroom, and the disabled access WC, kitchenette, and then space for 2 security guards. This next one, these are meet me rooms, or telecom rooms. Again, these are typical of a lot of what we do for pharmaceutical factories in particular. So on some projects, we would supply up to 15 or 20 of these to one project, and other projects we would supply 2 or 3 of them, just depends on the project. Some of them come with quite a tricky install. As you can see the picture there, where there was a soft spot left out in the building, and the module had to be dropped in and lowered in and winched in internally while it was hung on the crane. So there's a lot of pre-planning, a lot of accreditation, a lot of sign-off, lift plans, all the good stuff that goes with that, and a lot of, I suppose, complicated equipment. So what's in these rooms is basically they're 1-hour rated rooms. They have typically data racks, servers that run all the equipment. I hope the sound isn't coming through there. That run all the equipment on the within the production facility. So as you can see, as our team are walking through there doing the QC inspections, we have 4 rack or 8 rack options on it. 1-hour rated, 2-hour rated, and they come with all the required cooling, all the required security requirements, clean earths, dirty earths, all that's required from the facility. So these are typically inspected in the factory. They leave the factory punch free. They won't be expected, or we won't be accepted at site, and we won't get the permits to ship to get them delivered to site unless everything is punched free. So then another level up in terms of complexity, we have what we call e-houses. These are similar to the TER rooms, except they typically have LV panels or UPS panels included in them. So we will take the design of these from, I suppose, 10 or 15% design completion from the client, where they'll show the overall basic layout, overall basic intent. We then will size all the cooling, size all the racks, size the UPS system, coordinate all the services, and again, then manufacture them and deliver them to the factories. So these ones would weigh over 40 ton. This one that's in the video here was 42 ton, full hot roll structural steel frame, UPS batteries. It had 2 500 kilowatt Schneider UPS systems, 3 crack units. So very, very heavily serviced. And again, very, very different from what we do on the residential side or on the 2D panel side. So the challenge for us, because we're not in the big schools framework, is keeping our factory floor full through diversification and through, I suppose, using our fit-out company to get in first on a project, or our modular company to get in first on a project, and then growing our scope within that project once we get in, by adding in basically the modular options, the admin options, etc., etc. So again, this is an overall plan view of that module again, where we have on the right hand side, we have the fire suppression, which is a pre-action sprinkler system. Obviously, we can't have any water in the room while there's batteries in it. We then have the battery racks. We have the 2 UPS systems and a rack of batteries again, security panels, the UPS backed distribution boards, or the emergency backup generator backed UPS systems, and then we have the crack units. So I suppose what we're trying to show here is the level of diversification that it can take for some modular manufacturers in order to keep the lights on in the factory, to keep the business turnover targets met, and to really kind of, I suppose, give a different service or give that other level of service to our clients. So I suppose what we're very conscious of as a manufacturer in Ireland is that you either go one way, you go down the big framework route where you're producing high volume of stuff, high volume repetitive stuff, or you go down the diversification, more specialist route. At the minute, we're kind of dancing between both, and hopefully now the Agrimont cert will get us a bit more of a steady pipeline on the residential side of things, and while we maintain then the more higher spec, complicated e-houses and TR or UPS rooms. So I suppose that's it from our side. If anybody has any questions on how we manage the diversification, I'm open to those. Of course, it goes without saying, we have all our ISO accreditation, our EN 1090 accreditation, now have our Agrimont certification. We have our own in-house design team. Of course, health and safety to the fore, quality to the fore. All of that is a given for us, but very much a diversified portfolio is what's in front of us, and it's what we kind of, it suits us because it worked well with our fit out division also as well, while that may not suit other businesses. So that is all from me. If anybody has any questions.
Brilliant, and thanks Eoin. That's great to show off that diversification, and it's interesting both. You use diversification. Martin used, I think, early on in his presentation, talked about adaptability as well. Like, so, you know, that when people think of 3D modular, they kind of often think about just, oh, it's set and that's it, I have no choice and so on. So it's great to see, you know,
yeah, 100%, Jamie. It's like we also do bathroom pods, which I didn't touch on there. So you look at a bathroom pod, it's 2 meters by 2 meters, and a bathroom pod can cost 6,000 to 12,000 euro. Whereas you go to the other end of the technical modules, we do one of those technical modules with a UPS system could be 600,000, 800,000, depending on what kit is in it. So it's a wide and varied spec and skill set for each of them. So
yeah, very good. Yeah, no, fantastic. We can do that. So we're gonna, if anyone has any questions for Martin or Eoin, then please do post them in the Q&A function. I can see them coming in already, and we'll deal with those after all three presenters are finished. So we're on to our third presenter, Jurker Lessing, who's an adjunct professor both in Linköping and University and Stanford University, and also CEO and founder of Lesser Innovation AB. So he's going to show us, talk us through about some innovation construction within Sweden, but obviously he's got experience worldwide, not just in Sweden. So really looking forward to this presentation and engaging with the Q&A with him as well. So over to you, Jurker.
Thanks a lot, Jamie, and thanks a lot for the invitation. Super happy to be here. And with my presentation, I think we'll take maybe 2 steps back and try to see almost the whole country. And we'll have a look at how industrialized construction, as we call it here in Sweden, how it has developed, how it has evolved, and also look into some theoretical framework. I share my time, as Jamie said, between industry and academia, so we'll have to have some theory in here as well, and then a couple of industry examples also to see how it looks like, what it looked like. Couple of words about me, why I'm talking about this. I've been working with industrialized construction for more than 20 years. In various positions. I have shared my time between industry and academia. So I did my PhD here in Lund, in Sweden, Lund University, on the topic of industrialized construction. Did my first part in 2006 and the last part in 2015. And that also led me to a collaboration with Stanford University in California, and I still have a role there as adjunct professor, as Jamie mentioned. I spent 8 years between 2015 and 2023 as head of research and development at BoKlok, which is a joint venture between the large construction company Skanska and the giant home furniture company IKEA. So and at that company, we really applied industrialized construction methods and built homes for, so to say, the many people, affordable homes. We built around 15,000 homes over a 25-year period. So that's roughly who I am. A long history in working within this field. And also long history is what we have in Sweden in industrialized construction, because it actually started already in the 1920s, so more than 100 years ago. That has led Sweden to be one of the leading nations, actually globally, within the field of industrialized construction or industrialized house building, or whatever we want to call it. We had, so as I said, it started already in the 1920s for the single family homes part of the industry. Started with standardizing design, but also that led to also prefabrication, which was actually an extension of the timber industry in Sweden. In the 1960s and 70s, we had a really strong development again. Then it was mainly concrete based. We had a huge program called the Million Homes program in Sweden to produce 1 million new homes over a 10-year period, and that sparked a lot of development. It fell down during the 1980s and 90s, but then it came back strongly again in the 2000s. Strong focus on development in our industry, actually sparked by some really severe quality issues, and the industry, both industry and academia, responded to the sort of criticism, and a couple of industry, academia, and public sector collaborations or R&D innovation programs were launched to deal with the challenges in the industry, and that was the spark for sort of the contemporary development of industrialized construction. So all this has led to that we now in Sweden, we have a wide variety of companies, systems, organizations that are working according to industrialized construction principles. And we will soon have a little peek into what that means. But what have we learned then over these years? Well, we have learned that industrialization is not only about production. It's not only about moving activities from the site into a factory, but we actually also need a holistic and integrated approach to what we're doing, and because we are changing what we are doing and how, especially how we are doing things, and that leads to a need for changed business models and changed strategies if we compare to at least the traditional construction company model has to change if we are to do other changes in both in the product and the process and so on. What we also learned is that it takes time to get it right. There are no quick fixes to do this. So it takes time, and it takes patience, and it takes a long-term perspective on this. And we also, it was very clear, and not least from my experience from BoKlok, which was a very customer-centric company. I think that's a legacy from IKEA, I think. To really have a customer-centric approach to what we do is crucial. And if we do that in the right way, then it can be very, very powerful. And there are, of course, many different concepts, methods, and systems that are available to choose from. And that makes it, again, back to the strategic aspect of this, that we need to make some strategic choices. It's really difficult to be good at everything. So you have to make strategic choices. And the last point here is that it's important, or it's actually rewarding, to dare to specialize and then stick to the strategy, and then the benefits and the rewards will come. So those are some of the learnings that we have made around here. So, but maybe back to what we mean with industrialized construction. Well, we mean actually all this. It is a variety of different aspects that need to be considered. But if you look at these different boxes, you see factory production, you see prefabrication, automation, use of digital tools, logistics, building systems, long-term relations, standardizing processes, customer focus, planning, and so on. Nothing new. That's something we do always in the industry. But what's, so to say, new here, or at least crucial, is that we integrate these different aspects with each other and strengthen it to create product and production systems out of this. And that's what I mean with specialization. So we have to pick a piece of the market, a focus on that, and then create long-term oriented concepts or products or platforms, or whatever we want to call it, and also production systems. That's when we start to look like manufacturing industries. In my research, I put this together into a theoretical framework, saying basically that the concept is complex, several aspects must be considered. It's not only production, but it's an integrated approach and a holistic approach. And this model here, the blue and gray model, shows that it's about these 8 different fields that are tied together by continuous improvements. And that's when we get this to work as an industrialized construction system. There's not one way to do this, and this slide shows that for each of these 8 areas, we can actually be from a level 0, maybe rather not be on level 0, but you can range from a level 1 to a level 4 in all these different sub areas, and that can tailor the concept that is suitable for you and your company or your concept on the market, and that creates sort of a unique setup and a unique way to treat planning and prefabrication and long-term relations and logistics and so on and so on. And also, when it is about industrialization, it's smart to look at other industries that have much more experience in this. That's at least what I did in my research, and found then that many other industries work with product platforms, and that's a super powerful structure. So it's about structuring our technical solutions and processes in platforms, and that creates a backbone in the company. And it clarifies our product limitations. We can develop solutions to a much higher degree and be much more prepared to execute our projects. And this offers a systematic way to manage our products and our processes and ultimately our projects when we execute and deliver to our customers. So, of course, we do not build houses or buildings as trucks or cars or ships or so, but there are some principles and methods that we can get some inspiration from, and that can be very powerful. And again, there's not one way to do this. but there are at least, on a holistic level, there are at least 4 variants of how to apply platforms in our industry. And it can range from the top level here, where we have to the left of the diagonal, we have what is predefined before we start working in the project. So we have maybe norms and standards and some geometrical constraints, and then we engineer to order within the scope of the project. Then we can go down in this model from a generic product structure to standardized parts and modules, or all the way down to standardized products, where very little is left to deal with in the project, and the 2 levels in between are exactly that. It's an increasing scale. And this has, at least for me, been an eye-opening view that, okay, there's not only one way to do this. If we apply this model, we can actually cover big together as a whole ecosystem. We have different concepts targeting different parts of the market with a variety of flexibility and customization, because it's of course completely different if you build a single family home or if you build like a large office building. Of course, the needs of flexibility and predictability are completely different. So that's also a model that I think is part of the whole industrialization approach and understanding. The last part is actually just showing that if we work according to a platform approach, well, then we have a separate process where we develop our technical solutions. We can call that the technical platform. We have a separate process where we develop our processes. We can call that a process platform. These development processes are separated from the execution of the projects. And instead, we use what we have pre-developed. We use that as an input to our projects. We use these models and solutions, execute the project, we make learnings, and we send that back as further input to development. And in that way, we create a continuous improvement system. And the projects coming further down the line, they benefit from the learnings and developments that have been done before. Then we can also start using some structure in time to launch new versions with similarities to other industries, like yearly models or new versions or whatever we want to call it. So that's sort of an end of theory lesson. So how does it look like in Sweden then? Well, we have had, I would say, in the contemporary development, we have had 3 tracks in our development. One that we can call the complete concept offers for housing, for multifamily housing. These are offered by vertically integrated companies. It's complete housing concepts. They are typically in the lower end of this blue matrix that I showed. So mature and fairly advanced industrialized construction companies. We have also a track that we can call project-oriented concepts. So these are projects built with open building systems, typically a pretty high level of prefabrication, but open building systems. You combine different subsystems into a unique project. So that creates a wide variety of project types. These are typically in the upper levels of the blue matrix. So fairly low level of predefined solutions, but still some level of building system use. And then we have the single family homes part of the market. Those are similar to product offerings. As I mentioned before, we have a long history very high market share. In Sweden, we have around 80%, market share for industrialized construction-based single-family homes. And since we serve the whole market, so we have a wide variety of offerings, from very standardized to very bespoke. So we'll have a look at that very soon. So the complete concept offers are offered by vertically integrated companies focusing on multi-family residential concepts or buildings. Extensive factory production, so typically built as volumetric modules, but also panels or kit of parts exist, and we have tailored business models for this. This is how it can look like, as you have seen many times, of course. Some companies have invested a lot in automation, but it's not necessary actually to be successful to have that, but this is how it can look like. So around 80-90% of the construction work is done in the factory. And then we have the more project-oriented concepts, as I said. Then building systems are used for typically the structural frame and the facade and the roof. It's also common to combine with prefabricated bathroom pods. Mass timber is gaining market shares, but prefab concrete is very commonly used. And then it can look like this. I mean, typically bespoke, unique, nice buildings. The building to the right is actually a mass timber-based office building in my hometown here in Malmö, in the south of Sweden. 14 stories office building based on an open building system. Very, very nice and architecturally awarded building as well. This is another spectacular building, 20-story building in the north of Sweden, wood-based modules above a cultural center, and it's a hotel on top, and then theaters and so on in the bottom floors. And as I mentioned, the single-family homes industry, around 80-90% of all houses are built with industrialized methods. We have maybe 15 to 20 companies that dominate the market, but in total, maybe 100 companies that are active with these methods. Timber is used for the structural frame mainly, and the dominating system is panelized system. So typically they build the walls and the floor elements in the factory, and the rest is complemented on site. And this is how it can look like. So just a summary of how it looks like in Sweden today. Around 80-90% of market share for single-family housing, around 20% market share for the advanced complete concept offers. Prefabrication is extensively used in basically not all, but maybe 70% of all projects. We have some 15 producers of advanced building systems, 4 cross-laminated timber factories, maybe 10-15 producers of precast concrete elements, and as I mentioned, 15-20 single-family house companies that dominate, but there are many more, and a lot of investments and a lot of development going on in this. And actually, we get a lot of international interest for what we do here. So just to end, I was thinking a little, okay, so what could Ireland learn from Sweden? And here I'm maybe on thin ice because I'm not completely sure what level you are on today. But I think one thing that has been very successful for Sweden is that we have had some triple helix programs, and triple helix meaning that industry, academia, and the public sector collaborate to advance some piece of the industry together in R&D or innovation programs. Doesn't have to be billions. We have had some fairly small programs that actually came to act as the spark for some really, really strong industry development, and also some really great academic learnings. Another thing is maybe don't make industrialization too complicated. I think what we saw in the previous presentations, I think it made me happy, because it doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't have to be billions in investments, but it takes some determination, takes some strategic decision, and sticking to the plan. I think also try to apply platform approaches, and with that decrease the project focus. So the more we can reuse in terms of solutions between projects, and we can take care of these solutions and make improvements between the projects, the more we can gain. So that's something that has been very powerful for us. And with that, of course, there's not one size fits all here. So create a variety of concepts to target various parts of the market. Then it's together as an ecosystem, we will cover big pieces of the market. And there is a 3-step model that have been very powerful also for many companies. And it's to start with the customer, to really understand who the customer is, what they want, what they can pay, where they want to live, and so on. Use that intel as input to product development, create a range of products or a concept or a scope, and then create a production system that can deliver, and do it in that order. I have seen many examples where a lot of investments have gone into the production system, and then they try to figure out what to build the product, and then they try to chase customers. It's not a very safe way to do it. So start with the customer, go to the product, and then create the production system. That has been very successful. And that's basically what I said. Be careful with too big investments and too high expectations of rapid change, because as I mentioned before, it takes time to get it right. So a step-by-step approach, I think, is the most sustainable way to do this, and to balance investments with volumes. The most successful companies we have in Sweden have been around for a fairly long time, and they have been very careful with investments. They have worked more on the processes, the logic, and then when the volumes allow it, investments have been made so that it creates a strong business case in itself. So that I think is a good advice as well. And as I have mentioned a couple of times now, dare to specialize. Pick a piece of the market, focus on that, and do that super well, and then stick to that strategy. And of course, adapt the strategy and business model to that. Then it can be very, very powerful and successful and profitable as well. So that's actually what I have planned. I actually also plan for a study tour to Sweden in September. If you're interested, please reach out. There might be some spaces for you. It will be a pretty small group to make it sort of exclusive and a good learning experience. But if you're interested in coming here and have a look how we do it, you are welcome to contact me. So thanks a lot, and I'm open to to questions.
Jerker, that's fantastic and great advice as well. And sort of reflecting on the advice that you gave there, I think the two other presenters today must have listened to your advice previously a number of years ago, because I think they've followed it quite well in there. So and I suppose to see that amount of industrialized construction that's happening in Sweden, I suppose in particular in the residential market, where vast majority of single family dwellings are industrialized construction. I think I mentioned about 90%. We're getting, I don't know what the number is in Ireland, but we're getting there in terms of, I think the panelized timber frame is probably up on 50+% now at this stage. So when you add them all up, I'd say we're starting to get up close to that 70-80%. I don't know what the number is offhand, but that's been a big change in the last 10 years, 5 to 10 years. I think that we went from very low to very high in there. So it shows how the market can penetrate quite quickly when you have, I suppose, the companies like they're really good companies set up for it. So we're going to open up to Q&A for with our three presenters. So we've got a few questions in there.